Hello, and welcome to Humans of Magic. I'm your host, James Hsu. This is my conversation with Gab Nassif during Magic Con or Pro Tour Amsterdam. I sat down with Gab after a difficult tournament, but he was so generous in sitting down with me and just chat. I've always had a high level of respect for Nassif and what he brings to the game. He's always exhibited the highest levels of Magic sportsmanship. We talk a bit about that here. We talk a bit about what it's going to be like for Gab for the rest of the year. As with all things Humans of Magic, we get into the personal side too. I hope you'll excuse the audio quality. We did record this in a hallway in the Amsterdam Convention Centre. I couldn't pass up the opportunity to interview one of the greatest to ever play the game, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. I am here with Gab Nassif, legendary Hall of Famer and Pro Tour veteran. Gab, how are you?
Hey, James, I'm good.
Yeah, how many Pro Tours has it been now if you count Mythic Championships? This is like a trivia question now.
I have a vague idea. I know it's over 100, I think, but I couldn't tell you the exact number.
Okay.
Take what, 25 years times 4 or 5? I mean, like 125, 130, something like that.
Do you think you're in the all-time top 5 in terms of most Pro Tours played?
I would guess so, yeah.
Okay.
It's probably me, maybe Ref, Levy, not sure who else.
Yeah, Kai Buddha. Maybe? I don't know.
Probably, maybe not. I'm not sure if, I forget if he used to skip some for a while though. Can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be an interesting stat. It's not a stat that's you see very often. So.
Right, because people often talk about more about number of top 8s or like conversions or how many day 2s even. I think recently they were talking about that for some players, but not in terms of most Pro Tours. But I think you're up there.
Yeah, for sure. I might be number 1.
Yeah.
Me or Raf. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. So we're here in Amsterdam. How are things going for you overall? Just mentally and just everything?
Well, Amsterdam specifically didn't go well. I missed day 2. I went 2-1 in the draft and 0-4 in constructed. All I needed was day 2 to make Worlds. I was just a few adjusted match point short, and so that was just really frustrating. Really, I was pretty crushed on Saturday or on Friday, and I found out that I was actually 1 match short, so I went 10-6 in the first PT of the year and 9-7 in the second. It turns out that if I'd had 1 more win at either of these 2 PTs, or even just made day 2 here and bombed out on day 2, that was good enough for Worlds. So I will not be going to Worlds this year. Pretty disappointed, but I did play the Secret Lair Showdown Modern Tournament. It's these events where you win these full like last year was full Brainstorm. I think they sold for like $70,000.
Really?
This year it's a Dark Ritual. I think it's like going to be way less, but technically I could, if I win, it's top 32 today, single limb again. So if I win 5 more matches, I could win close to second prize of the Pro Tour. So that'd be a nice consolation prize.
Right.
So at least that went well. I started winning some matches. I played the same list. I played the Necro deck. I just changed 2 main deck cards, and things went way better yesterday.
Yeah. Well, going back to a bit of what you said, I hate to dredge it up, but I mean, I'm really sorry to hear about how it went for you in terms of just narrowly missing Worlds. And I don't know, like, you must have tweeted about it. I didn't see it. Like, what happened in the constructed part?
So things didn't go very well.
Were they close matches or?
Yeah, fairly close matches. I messed up in a couple stuff. I had a really close mulligan decision, and I decided to ship it. And I like to look at the top cards when I mulligan. I don't know if I should. I don't know if that's good practice.
It's a pro move, yeah.
And my top card, it was like perfect. My top card was a Grief, and my second to the top was a Necro. So I would have gone Grief turn 2, Necro.
Okay.
The rest of my hand was really good. That's what I was missing. So then I mulliganed 5, lost that match. Then another match, I made probably just brain fog mistake. I just discarded a Snapcaster Mage, or I made them discard a Snapcaster Mage, and they just cast Days Undoing. They were down to no cards. Days Undoing, just to refill their hand. I had Necro in play already, so it was much worse for me. They were down to 0 cards. I had a full grip, and I draw 7, and my turn is just play a land, say go. I drew no creatures, no nothing, so that's like a huge swing and probably a mistake that cost me game. And then in 8 of my 11 games, I just did not see a Necro, just not in my opening hand, not in my first draw step, so the deck is obviously much worse. So
That's below par because, I mean, it's a 4 of, right? So
yeah, combination of, few mistakes and bad luck. And some days, some PTs you don't play your best, but you squeak by at 4-4, 5-3. You don't get fully punished, and Friday was not one of these days.
yeah. Do you still believe in the power of the Necro deck?
I think it's good. If you look at the stats, Nadu clearly crushed it. It was the most expected deck, the most played deck, and had like 59% win rate, which is more than Hogak. I think Hogak PT was 56%. I guess the Hogak deck was made a lot harder or a little easier to hate on. But yeah, I think probably gonna get banned. And the play pattern is not fun. It's pretty repetitive, and for the opponent,
You don't want to concede, but it's just like you gotta watch, you gotta see it. It's not deterministic, right?
exactly. It's like it's kind of sucks to have that decision of like, do I make him do it? Do I make my opponent do it? There's the clock ticking. Should I save some time? You're not 100% sure. Maybe they'll mess up. Maybe they'll get unlucky. Maybe. So yeah, it's like
So it's like KCI, in a way.
I forget exactly how Casey, by a bit, that combination of really powerful and really bad play pattern. I do think the games are interesting up to the point, where they're going off. So there's always that, but I wouldn't be shocked, if it got banned pretty quick.
So, I mean, hindsight is 2020, but would you just run back to Necro deck if you could do it again?
I would probably just play Naru. I think at this point, it's so hard to hate on. It's so well rounded. You have Urza Saga, Angle. You can play the Ili Cassis has 2 One Rings in his main deck. A lot of people have it in the sideboard. Just I mean the numbers speak for themselves at this point, I think.
Right. Just switching topics slightly. Do you have any fond memories of Amsterdam, either this time or in past visits here? Because you must have played quite a number of Magic tournaments here, right?
Yeah, I played a few. Paul Rietzel won, I believe it was the last Pro Tour Amsterdam, like over 10 years ago. I don't think there's been one since. And it was actually me and Kai who built a deck that most of our team played, and that Paul won the Pro Tour with. It was just kind of basic mono white weenie deck.
Okay,
And
this is 10 years ago.
yeah, I forget the exact year, but yeah, it's maybe a little more, I'm not sure. And yeah, it was just me and Kai playing on Magic Online, and me throwing decks at him, trying stuff out, and we just came up with that mono white deck that didn't look like much, but that was, good. And I think maybe Kai made top 8 too. Kai made top 8, Rietzel won the Pro Tour. So that's probably my, best memory in Amsterdam.
Okay. Did you ever do anything outside of the convention center, either this time or in the past?
I've been here. I've been was my wife here? We a few years ago we took a cruise to go to Scandinavia,
Yeah.
to Norway, and all that from Amsterdam. So we had a few days in Amsterdam. The beautiful city, Van Gogh Museum. Yeah, I don't smoke at all, so that part is like
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's a cool city. I'm good friends with Noah Boken, and he's from here, so we've stayed here with him a few times. He used to have a really cool place, kind of like a mini castle in the city at some point, like a big apartment, big house, and we had parties here with him and David Williams and Dan Burdick, who used to be part of Play Design.
This
So
is
yeah,
like really back in the day.
yeah. I have some fun and good memories in Amsterdam for sure.
Okay. I mean, this is kind of like memory lane stuff, but what's been like some of the most fun cities that you played Magic in?
I think Hawaii probably, because we would always rent some really nice beach houses.
Yeah.
Especially one, I think maybe the last time we rented a beach house in Hawaii was like David Williams, Ryan Kibler, Ben Rubin, all these guys, Yalger. Andrew. I think maybe it was back when Huey played too. Yeah. So anyway, that was a beautiful house. I think it was maybe there was a picture of an actress, maybe some famous actress. I think it was her house and she just rented it out.
Oh,
You know.
so she was the host or the owner.
Yeah, the owner. I mean, I'm sure she didn't take care of it.
She
But
didn't
yeah,
personally.
I wish I could remember who it was, but like pretty big pool.
How did you know that though? Did you just randomly see the actress
I
photo
think
on the
there was
wall or
maybe
something?
there was maybe a picture from her, or they told us, or something about it. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's yeah. My very first pro tour in Hawaii too. We yeah no yeah that's probably like the best place I've
Yeah.
ever been to for a pro tour. Yeah.
Is Rizzo still playing Magic?
He did play the Chicago PT. He's actually the one who built the Vampires deck. He ended up playing a mono black version of the deck when the rest of the team moved to red black, but that was kind of him. So he used his Hall of Fame invite. I'm not sure if he used it last year. I forget. I think he might have used it last year as well, but he plays a bit, yeah.
Okay. How does the Hall of Fame invite work right now for you folks? Is you can
So-
go to every MC? I
No,
mean, sorry,
no,
PT?
no. You get one a year. You get one regional championship a year and one pro tour a year, basically. Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad. That's
Yeah.
not bad. So, but you haven't had to use it up to this point, right? Because you've qualified.
Yeah, I did well in the first regional championship right after COVID, right after they bring back the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
And I was able to, I made top 8 of the very first PT that qualified for the year. And I've been doing just well enough for to stay on, so right now I'm still qualified for the first one of next year.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a PT invite for my Hall of Fame if I need to. But since I did poorly at this PT, now I have to start, putting up the results again to try and still qualify. So I could fall off technically, yeah.
So there's going to be now you're going to get back to the grind, like you're going to start playing all the major events that you can.
I mean, I was always on the grind. I did go to the RCs this year, the regional championships, even though I was already qualified for all the pro tours, just, to play in.
Or is it just in France, or did you travel to?
No, I went, one was in Italy. I skipped the one in Greece. I went to one in Italy, and I forget where the other one was. Oh, in Ghent in Belgium.
Yeah.
So I went to 2 out of the 3, and my realistic goal was to make top 2 because top 2 qualifies directly to Worlds. So I was trying to secure the Worlds invite in case something went wrong at the PT, which ended up happening, So, but it is 600, 800 people, and
That's hard for anybody.
yeah. Top 2 is just such a long shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't play all the time, but I do play. I do try for the arena championships too, the arena qualifier weekends. I try for that. So.
What do you have to do for that? You have to top what to get?
So the way it works is if you finished in the top 250 mythic, either constructed or limited, you qualify for the qualifier. If not, there's play-ins, kind of mini tournaments where you have to go 4-0 to qualify. So there's a bunch of ways to
Little
qualify.
satellites, yeah.
And then the qualifier itself is usually constructed, and you have to go 7-2 or better on day 1.
Yeah.
And then 7-2 or better on day 2. So it's really tough. It used to be even tougher. They changed it. It used to be just a 32-player tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think now it's going to be a bit bigger and a tiny bit more money. Well, relatively less money per player, but they made it a little easier. So I was actually wondering, there's one coming up in 2 weeks, and I was wondering if that championship can still qualify you for Worlds, or if it qualifies you for the Worlds of next year. So maybe
So
I still have.
You gotta find out. Maybe
Yeah.
there's still a last chance, right?
Yeah, so it's hard to be 100% on everything, on the arena stuff, on the PT, the RCs. There's also
Absolutely.
the Magic Online Showcase, championship. That's
yeah. Those are
uh,
tough.
those are really tough to get into. They're really cool tournaments, though. The structure was the vintage cube. That's part of the. So there's so much going on, There's always, and that's so nice when you're a streamer. There's always something to look forward to, which was not the case when I started. I remember a year or 2 in, I would have lulls here and there. I was like, oh, I don't know what to play. Nothing's that exciting right now, and now it's the opposite. If anything, there's just, which is a good thing, I think. Yeah.
how okay, a couple questions here, but first one is quite a straightforward one, but just are you streaming those high stakes tournaments or are you playing them offline and not streaming? Because I imagine streaming would be an extra level of distraction, right?
Yeah, I definitely do better when I'm not streaming. I stream, so the arena qualifiers are one of the few things that I usually don't stream. Or I'll stream them on a delay sometimes. The mux thing, it depends. So overall, when I'm streaming, it's a detriment to me. I think it's not really up for debate that it hurts.
You play worse.
Yeah,
Sure.
you play worse.
Yeah.
But occasionally, chat can help you find the winning line. So what I try to do is when stakes get high, either late in a challenge, playing for top 8 or in the top 8, or for these MOX events, I try to maybe play with chat closed even when I am streaming with no delay to like keep it fair to my opponents. Obviously if it's a league, this, that, if it's give and take. Sometimes I'm going to get an edge from chat that finds the right lines, and most of the time it's going to be the opposite. I'm going to be timed out because I was babbling the whole time. So evens out in the long run. So it depends, but I try to stream these events as much as possible still because it's probably fun for people to watch me play these tournaments.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's when it's hype. What's your feelings right now or feedback about the general qualification system?
I don't know. It's hard for me to answer. I feel like I'm not the best person to answer these questions because of my Hall of Fame invite and just having a strong testing group and being able to change these invites, even though even was all that, I still had a bad PT. It happens. But it looks like there's way more turnover. Obviously, when you see someone like Nathan Stoyer who fell off after dominating the pro scene for
Something seems wrong with that.
Yeah, maybe you could do a system where when you have so many wins, at some point you get to bank in an invite for later, that you could use some kind of system. But it's also good for kind of a little flatter structure so that more people can make it to the Pro Tour. There's a bit more of a turnover, so that's maybe bad for people, for someone like Nathan Stoyer, but maybe better overall. I've thought for a while, I think that kind of structure is maybe better because the skill gap is not massive in Magic compared to some of the esports. And I feel like that kind of makes sense to have more of a semi-professional circuit than a professional circuit, because the skill gap's not that big between players in Magic as it can be in other games.
Yeah. Any idea if that stuff is coming or any changes are coming? Or Wizards is pretty tight-lipped about that? Yeah,
there are. I think William Jensen, he's always thinking about how to make things better, but it's not easy. You're kind of also limited by the amount Wizards of the Coast is willing to spend on organized play. So you can move stuff around, but
if the budget is the same, then
you can only stretch it so thin. At some point, you qualify more people, but then it means you make less money on average. Right now, even last place makes $1,000, for instance, which is, I think that's good, and it makes up for the fact that they don't pay for flights anymore when you qualify, all that stuff. So at some point, that's kind of the limiting factor. You could stretch it thinner, but then when you actually make it to the PT, it's less prestigious. There's you have to beat 600 players, and
I want to talk about your mental, just in terms of your motivation or your spark, what keeps you going right now? Because I'm just going to say that very, very much from as an outsider looking in, it's like I'm looking at you, you're Gab Nassif, you really have done most there is to do in competitive Magic. You're a Hall of Famer and you have a number of accomplishments that will stay with you until the end of time. So I'm just wondering what keeps you going? Is it the gathering? Is it being part of a team? Is it something else?
think it's just a combination of many factors. First of all, it is my job, it is how I make my living right
It's
now.
your responsibility.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, I'm assuming a big part of why people watch me stream is that I play on the Pro Tour and, all that stuff. Um, I'm just super competitive, obviously, and I spend most of my time on Magic. So obviously, I want to do well at the tournaments. I don't have maybe the fire or yeah. I was saying I'm like really competitive.
You're really competitive, yes.
Oh, kut. Moeten we hierheen? Hebben jullie mensen gezien met dit aan? Nee, we moesten het helemaal niet.
I think it's this way. They all went out.
They all
this
went
way.
that way.
Oh, okay.
That door. But
Sorry, sorry.
I should keep that in. That's so funny.
Yeah, no, just really competitive, and it's. Oh yeah, I was saying that I don't have. I have a little more balance in my life. I guess I try to do other things, so a little less time on Magic, but you show up to these tournaments, you still want to do well. I still really care, and it is like one of the biggest parts of my life. So when you spend so much time, you show up at Pro Tours, you want to do well, and I never think like, oh, I've done so much or done well in the past.
It's just now in this moment I want to do well.
Yeah, I don't feel like it matters that much. That part of
Yeah.
I just want to keep doing well, and I don't know about proving, but yeah, it's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for most of us in life, it's just like you got to do something, right? It's kind of like maybe the thing I'm thinking about is, for example, I like to surround myself with just various projects. So I can't imagine one day being retired and just sitting by the beach and literally doing nothing. So it's like whether it's running or magic or podcasting, I need something.
Yeah.
So I feel like life is pretty boring if you don't have like a pursuit, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't really do things, halfway. I started playing basketball again
Okay.
this year, and I got really into it, but I got a bunch of tendinitis and stuff in my foot and my tendon.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because I went from not zero, but I went from doing very little to starting to run a bit during COVID.
Yeah.
Not long distance, but working out a bit more and going to shoot at the playground. And this year I started trying to play more, but I guess my legs are pretty weak still. My feet are pretty weak, but I am obsessed. I injured one of my tendons, then the other one this year, then I got better. I was like, okay, I had this. So I joined this league, and they were already full for the team that plays the Sunday games, kind of the league. So
Okay.
I joined kind of the leisure, but it's still the guys are still pretty good, So
Yeah.
I played.
It's actually playing basketball,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We'll play like 1-4. So I play like an hour and a half on Friday, an hour and a half on Tuesday,
Yeah.
and I was like really waiting for the summer to come, and my plan was to go to the playground, kind of off season and really
Work on it. Yeah.
really shoot a million free points and get better, and then show up in September. And it's not, I'm not like super good or anything. It's like we're veterans. It's 35 years or older. But yeah, just really, I started watching YouTube videos, drills, this, that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
so that's kind of, but I need to get my legs in order.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I got some inserts on for my. So I'm really just looking forward
Okay.
to that and being able to jump and run and
Basketball's tough, man. Like all the injuries I've ever had in life were from basketball, not
It's
from
a-
running, because there's all the cuts and you have to make sudden.
you've played it.
moves.
You've played it.
Not. I'm not good either, but I have enjoyed playing a lot of
Yeah.
basketball over the years.
Yeah, I played a bit when I was a kid, and then I was pretty good because I played with my brother when I was like 8 or 10, and then the place where I played closed, and then so I went and played football for a bit, soccer. And I tried basketball for 1 year in high school again, but the kids were like not very like kind of not very good. And I didn't have a good experience, and I hadn't played seriously since. It was pretty cool actually. I used to play on playground in Paris. It's right under the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
or right close to it, and apparently it's a playground where Tony Parker used to play when he was a
Okay.
kid in Paris.
Okay.
I mean, I was never especially good, but so
It's not about being good or bad. It's
Yeah.
kind of like magic. It's about
Yeah.
whether you have a passion and you want to.
Yeah.
It's about self-improvement.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
Especially
it's-
because we're old now, so it's
Yeah.
just about getting better.
But unfortunately, basketball and I think my brother was saying he went to see a doctor, and basketball and rugby he said are besides maybe boxing or fighting sports, like the two worst sports for your joints and this and that.
Absolutely, for the lower body.
So
I think I remember like maybe a pro basketball player said this once. He said that, or maybe it was a coach who used to be a pro player. He said that if you don't want to get an ACL injury or some sort of like joint or tendon injury from basketball, don't play basketball.
yeah,
Because he's basically saying if you want to do basketball at any reasonable level where you have to make cuts and shifts, where you're not just walking and you're not actually playing basketball, you have to put your body at risk.
yeah,
You know, that's what you sign up for,
yeah,
right? It doesn't matter whether it's like a amateur or pro or any level.
Yeah.
Like basketball requires you to move in a certain way.
Yeah.
You can't escape it.
yeah. So I started like stretching way more. Like I'll be watching a stream and randomly start stretching
Okay.
or watching a video.
Yeah.
Like whenever I think about it, I'm not doing anything. Just
Yeah.
I'll start just stretching and doing like this and that, and starting doing a bit of yoga. And so we'll see how that goes.
I got to follow in your footsteps. I have to admit, I think I've been running a little bit too much where I've also started getting a bit of tendonitis this year.
Yeah,
But like an idiot, I know inside if I just don't do anything for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I'll probably be close to 100%. But I just always feel that itch to go out and
yeah.
do something.
Yeah, the last injury I like tried to go back after 5 or 6 days, and then it was bad again.
like
And I went
nagging
back,
injuries.
and this time I've been good for it. It's been like almost a month, but it's
You know,
I know it sucks, but it's I need to take it slow.
do you follow the NBA or watch
I
it?
didn't for a long
I mean,
time.
Wembenyama, right?
Yeah, I did start watching a bit in the preseason. I watched a bit of that. Then I didn't watch it all the whole season. And during the playoffs, I started watching these. There's a YouTube channel that has like the 10 minutes highlights with
Right.
basically all
The full game highlights. I watched that too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I started watching these for every game after starting second round. But I don't know much. Yeah, no.
Okay. You just enjoy playing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it's funny. I used to know everything about all the American sports because my brother, we had a Sega, so he'd buy like all the EA Sports game,
Yeah.
whether it was Madden or NBA or NHL, even sometimes the baseball one.
Yeah.
So I literally knew every player of every league, every stat when I
Okay.
was like 8, 10 years old growing up, and then I lost interest in watching sports.
Yeah.
So I don't. But I started watching a bit of basketball again, this year.
That's crazy because also with Magic, I think people often say that you're kind of like part American.
Yeah. Yeah.
because you spend a lot of time literally in the U.S., but
Yeah.
also testing with American players, right?
Yeah, maybe that comes from my brother. Actually, I never thought about it that way. Maybe that's part of. He was like fairly. I don't know about obsessed, but
Yeah.
American culture. He actually played American football in French, which is pretty rare.
Pretty rare, yeah.
It's not a big sport, but
Yeah.
he played a bit of that. He was
Yeah.
played a bit of quarterback, and then he wasn't the biggest guy, so he moved to. He was really fast. So he's played free safety a lot. He was like,
Okay.
just
Okay.
really fast.
Very
And-
agile.
yeah, and apparently he's like a really good swimmer. He went and swam in the sea in south of France, and
Yeah.
just
So I think they call it, if you're a fan of British culture, it's like Anglophile.
Yeah.
It sounds like your brother is like American file or something.
American file. And we actually have an aunt who lives in London, so he used to go on the weekends in London a lot with his friends because he had a
Yeah.
place to crash. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
What's your brother up to now? Is he still in France? Or?
yeah, he lives in Paris. We're fairly close. We see each other
Yeah.
pretty often, and he's a music producer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of music? Is it all kinds or?
Kind of French pop rock, or yeah. He actually had a pop rock band. They weren't like super successful, but
Yeah. He was doing it.
yeah, he discovered one of the some pretty famous artists.
Yeah.
Sid Matters. If you're French, you might know him.
Okay.
So that started back in, he spent all his money on the mixing table, and he put that was like 25 years ago, or whatever. 30 years ago, just putting an ad in a newspaper, and that guy's sending maquette and recording like. Anyways. So he still does that,
Okay. Did he ever play Magic?
No. He did come to PT Philly once. He had a plan to try and do a documentary.
Okay.
Didn't pan out, but and right now he's also trying to do a documentary on a Lebanese music artist, not very famous, but just kind of the angle is like him and the Civil War and all that, and the history of Lebanon, kind of combining these two things. So he's kind of working on that right now.
And as I understand, your family heritage is Lebanese.
Yeah, Lebanese.
But you and your brother, I assume, were both born in France?
No, I was the only one. My two older brothers were born in Lebanon, and they moved.
Okay.
I was born in France, yeah.
Are you still connected to that culture? Yes and no?
Yeah, not especially, but I'm not shy about it. But I wouldn't say I'm really connected.
Okay. Have you been to Lebanon? Or?
Yeah, I used to go when I was a kid during the summer vacation with my mom. We used to go back. I had cousins that were my age, so that was fun. Did that for a few years, 4 or 5 years, and then eventually they were a little busy. They grew older, and
Sure.
like the last year I went, it was like not as fun. So I kind of stopped going back, and I've been back once for like my grandma's funeral to just go with my mom and meet her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I suddenly had this weird thought. You know how, like, because we were talking about sports, you know how in sports, like, athletes can represent, based on their background, they can sometimes choose to represent multiple countries?
Yeah.
There's NBA players, I'm sure football players as well, they can do that.
Yeah.
Like, theoretically, you could represent Team Lebanon if there was, like, a Magic World Cup and say you're from there, or or have that background, right?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool, I guess. I don't feel like it makes a ton of sense to say, I represent Lebanon over.
Maybe there's no magic there, I have no idea. I don't know. Yeah.
I've never played. I mean, it was before, like when I'd go back in the summer, it was before I discovered Magic and started playing Magic. I can't remember of ever having a guy come up to me and say, I'm from Lebanon, I'm from Beirut, or whatever.
Really?
I'm from Beirut and I play Magic, so I don't think it's a thing now.
Okay. Yeah. That's I don't know, maybe your brother could do a documentary on that someday. Like gaming and Magic in certain places like Lebanon. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, I just thought I would ask. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like for the next the second half of the year, I guess you're going to be trying to get, back into the next set of tournaments.
Yeah, just it's tough. I need to figure out how to play better in the PTs, because I've not been, even the first two PTs I did relatively well, but I definitely didn't play my best. And I mean, it's hard to not make mistakes, but it is frustrating when you see guys like Javier and Simon perform at that level consistently, and you're like, what's stopping me from doing that? I play a lot of Magic.
I feel like European kids are noisier than Chinese kids when they're doing their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what's stopping me from. I think definitely I feel more pressure when I play at the PTs. I feel like even on Magic Online, when I'll play a league, no stakes or low stakes, I'll just be fine and play fast and play pretty well and not second guess too much.
Yeah. And
then even just when I'm playing a challenge, I think a bit more. I'm a little more unsure, and I don't know. Maybe I was always that way. And
do you think? I mean, have you self-diagnosed? Like, what do you think is happening for you? I guess over the past, like this year, or is it? I guess it's hard to look at people from the outside because, like, I don't know if it's Javier's like preparing a lot more than everybody else. As I've heard that he's sometimes like he plays literally more Magic than anybody else.
Yeah,
but maybe it's different for everybody. Maybe some people
No,
like you don't have to play
honestly,
that much.
it might just be that. Just I don't. Maybe I need to just play more games. I know it. I like even at the testing house when there's nothing else to do. I'll play a bit, but I also like to chill and watch other people play, which is helpful.
Yeah.
But maybe just the sheer amount of game. Even for this PT, I actually locked in on Necro early. It's one of the first deck I tried, and it's pretty much the only deck I played in testing because it's doing well in testing, so I had no reasons to switch. And I was like, okay, I'll just focus on that deck. I'll let my teammates focus on other decks, and then we'd kind of see at the end. And so I don't even have that excuse of having tried different decks, but maybe just the sheer amount of maybe I just don't play enough games. That could definitely be it. And yeah, I think Javier plays a ton, and maybe I should force myself. I have a hard time forcing myself doing that, but maybe that's just the difference. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you play a lot of games, period. But maybe it's a certain type of game or a certain type of practice.
Yeah, especially now, like the games are so long, and the matches the matches go so long, and you need to autopilot like 90%, 95% of your games to play at a decent pace. So I definitely felt it. Like I guess it was when I played Blue Black Control in Pioneer and I went 8-2. That's a deck I played a lot in testing, and it's a deck I'd been playing for years. It was kind of my pet deck, and I think that definitely showed. I still made a few mistakes, I think, but overall, I think that was probably the tournament I played the best. Second PT, I played Blue-White Control. I tested the deck a decent bit, but I didn't play a million games, and I definitely messed up some trivial spots just from. So, maybe I think that would help a lot. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll try to make it a point to really lock in a deck early, play a lot of games, and get some more drafts into, or as many as possible. Just more volume, maybe that's.
Are you generally pretty hard on yourself in terms of assessing your play?
I'm definitely hard on myself. I'm assessing my play. I'm pretty good at spotting the mistakes. Maybe too good, quote unquote, and maybe I get it result oriented sometimes. I definitely get made fun of for that.
What do you mean, like for thinking through some of the plays too much? Or
No, just I'll be like, oh, I think I messed up because it didn't work out, but
oh, I
really
see.
it
I
was
see.
like
I see.
super close call, or I
Yeah.
actually made the right play, it just didn't work out, and but yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Gab, it was great talking to you, and I thank you for taking me through some of what you've been going through recently. And I wish you all the best of luck in the second half of the year, and hopefully you'll hit all the goals that you want to.
Yeah, thanks. I always like talking about Magic, talking about that stuff. So,
All right. It's always a pleasure.
all right, thanks, James.